you that Finn is the only captain remaining.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Flicker and Fortress, I guess they are workable, very niche. I would not even say niche, very off meta, all in all. But we will be seeing a Cruel coming out, so hopefully this will be a CP Idris and of course a Cruel for the side of Impunity. This particular comp, so even if the side of NUBELAE will put out a mage like that of Scarf, if not that Celeste, a Cruel will do relatively well against it.
Yeah, they definitely got a dive comp. You got CP Idris can poke, and they can dive. Yeah, I think.
Handshake or not, it is just down to Quartervore. Quartervore is usually the one that comes up with the first hand, and the other team just reciprocate. However, we will be seeing Quartervore playing relatively passive, very unlike him as a player, but of course as the hero, and that would be Finn. Very nice route over there. On Blue City, but as a player, as a Finn at least, you cannot quite afford to just be very aggressive because you do not have, you know, the escape ability like other roamers have, like that of Graves with the movement speed, and the mid Treant will just be given up over to the side of NUBELAE.
Started up and secured by NUBELAE by the Scarf Spitfire, just to make sure that Impunity don't try and steal that away, because Cruel, if he manages to get his weakness stacks, will probably be able to secure anything, but without it, he's pretty useless. And now Truffy's just rotating up to lane. There's obviously quite a big wave after you do the rotation where you start backs with your jungler. The lane gets quite large and pushed. FQ is not deciding to try and push with this massive wave. He just wants to get some farm. So Impunity deciding to farm up, but DefQ is not going to get anything because Impunity's already taken his backs. So probably not the best rotation from DefQ. He doesn't actually get much from it at all. And Finn's probably going to get ambient from this Treant. So DefQ really just gave up any chance of aggression against Truffy's because that was a massive wave. So if DefQ fights, the minions are on his side. Truffy doesn't want to fight because he wants to farm, and so he could have got a lot more from that. And now NUBELAE are going to try and steal away this Treant. Looks he's most likely going to be able to secure it.
Oh wait, there is something rather peculiar about the roles that they are dedicated to the players. At least we are seeing Truffy's for the first time in Vainglory 8 history not playing a mage, but playing a very big weapon cat.
Truffy's isn't playing a mage, and NUBELAE isn't playing a glaive. This is definitely a very interesting NUBELAE to swap those two seemingly comfort picks around, so that Truffy's is going for an assassin, and NUBELAE is going for the mage, because they just almost always play the exact opposite of that. But yeah, they're defensive from both sides early on. That's expected with the CP Idris, it's expected with the Scarf. But I wouldn't be surprised if once Blue Sea hits level 6, there's going to be some lane ganks who try and force the afterburn from Glaive, then going with it from Hellsheart. And NUBELAE could be in trouble. Blue Sea's not going to be too aggressive, pop the vision and get the Elder Treant. DefQ's going to go a little bit low in lane, but nothing really too much as Truffy's farms up and NUBELAE ports home.
Yeah, but if you actually go think about it, you know, Scarf, although has to be relatively...
We're going to see a spell sword on Cruel. I've just seen Blue City has picked up a tier 2 an Hourglass. It's tier 1 Hourglass. He's going to spell sword first item on Cruel. What do you think, Luxury? Do you like it?
Well, I guess Cruel do run into some energy issues, and with that extra energy regen coming out from, you know, the passive of spell sword, I guess it will work well, all in all. But the lack of burst from a DMR when you have your tension bow, and of course when you had your poison shield for that mortal wound, and of course that, you know, that extra life steal that you receive may hurt Blue City, but we just can only see, you know, what he can actually bring out with a spell sword on that of Cruel. But on my point, there you go, NUBELAE being very, very aggressive, putting out a lot of damage on that of Quartervore.
Luke's rotating up, trying to get his Shadows and Power Me perk up. He's just going to try and run around and see if he can catch out NUBELAE, but no one's level 6. There isn't really a need for Impunity to fight, and NUBELAE will easily be able to outpoke them at this point. Idris still has actually picked up Frostburn, so he has got diversion paths, but will not really be able to deal much considerable damage. Druffies could be called out, can Frostburn away and get the Vanguard, and so not too much coming. And yeah, there's really nothing that either team can do to force a fight until Blue City hits level 6. Or really until Sidon hits level 6 for NUBELAE. Even with an afterburn, they can still kind of just block and run away. Whereas for Impunity, they need Blue City to hit 6 for that from Hellsheart.
Yep, Blue City definitely going for Spell Sword as the first item, holding on to 950 gold there. So, rather, I guess it's interesting all in all, but I saw as well in one of the gameplay when I was looking through history yesterday, I saw Blue City actually,
There's going to be the afterburn onto DefQ, but not quite enough damage. The Spitfire blocked by Quarter Bottom. DefQ will be alive. He has got his Shimmer Strike now, so he'll be able to play. If they do that afterburn again, he could try and just ultimate inside Quarter War when the afterburn comes through. It's a little bit hard to do. If you time it correctly, that's a pretty easy way to get away. Now Cruel has got the From Hell's Heart available, and obviously Truffy's. So Angry Die has got the Dragon's Breath, which doesn't really do much at level 1. You need to wait till that level 3 Dragon's Breath until it does any considerable damage, and no one's going to fight. Once again, 5 minutes in, gold is dead even, and both teams are hoping that their late game is better. Paul's got his Spell Sword, going to work towards block next, so I'm really interested to see how this works, because it's not as much damage as Solar Blade, it's not as much utility as some other stuff. Truffy's going in with the afterburn, and is able to secure the Elder Triumph. There's going to be a stun on Sergeant, but the Dragon's Breath coming through, not going to do that much work, but Quarter War is being chunked down. Truffy's needs a little bit more damage to secure the kill, but Truffy's manages to fountain himself and get away. Both fountains used, both teams backing off.
Yep, and I was about to say as well, yesterday, if I'm not wrong, when I was going through the pro player history of Blue City, I think, if I remember correctly, sorry Impunity if I got this wrong, but I think Blue City was the one that went with a 2-spell sword on a weapon Kestrel. It's either Blue City or DefQ. I found it rather interesting, so I'm not surprised as to. I mean, all in all, Spell Sword is it's an item that has not been put into much use, although it has got an incredible passive. All in all, and it's the second most damaging item. So,
yeah, there's going to be a lot of damage onto Saiyajin. He's actually falling low. Has not quite got the fountain for another 20 seconds, so he's going to have to back off. And once again, we're just seeing a bit of aggression, and then everyone's like, nah, we don't want to go too deep, let's just back off, let everyone farm up, let's get to late game power spikes. But Luke Steve's going to try and change that. Truffy's after run away and punt him back. Very defensive from NUBELAE, and they could possibly lose a bit of damage on this tier 1 turret if Impunity wants to try and siege it. Instead, they're going to try and steal away some farm. Angry Die unable to secure his mid-treant, and now DefQ is waiting in the bush, going to be flared out, and Truffy's taking a lot of poke. Vanguard will be enough, but no, they're going to use the fountain just to keep him, make sure he's alive. Pump back a minion for CS. Now Angry Die is going to have to rotate up to lane. Nope, Impunity don't want to push it. They want to get the gold mine instead. The Crawl's going to solo that while DefQ's just trying to keep NUBELAE at bay. And Saiyajin doesn't expect anything, so Crawl's probably going to be able to get this for free. But will DefQ fall in return? And NUBELAE, I think they think Crawl's going to be farming his back, so that would make a lot of sense. And so they're going to try and push the wave in. And I think this will be free for Bluxty. Nope, afterburn onto DefQ. Will he fall? One more basic from Truffy's. Will secure the kill. Actually, no, it's Saiyajin with the Vanguard that gets that. And now NUBELAE up into lane. They aren't going to try and push it, so that is a free gold mine for Crawl. Free gold lead going to be pushing into Impunity's favour.
Oh, wow. I mean, you say free gold lead, but it is just down to 500 gold, actually 18,000 over to the side of NUBELAE with 17.6 thousand gold. So not an incredible gold lead, to be honest, and I was chuckling and I was laughing inside because of how incredibly slow that gold mine was taken and how oblivious the entirety of NUBELAE was to the gold mine being taken. I mean, granted, DefQ was a very, very enticing and, tempting bait that was in lane alone. So I guess, going for DefQ was, all in all, the good choice at a point in time for NUBELAE. But had they have got a little more vision, then they'll definitely spot out the fact that Blue City was just taking a gold mine, and the fact that Quarter War has always been in lane since minute 1 and suddenly disappearing. I think NUBELAE should have actually just found out or spot out that gold mine was being taken.
Yeah, it definitely was interesting that they didn't even think of it as an option for try and solo that. They were expecting just be farming his jungle, and they probably thought, take us back, so he'll be up in lane soon, and he just wasn't. Yeah, DefQ with a Broken Myth second item already completed, whereas Angry Die obviously in the jungle only Frostburn. And so it's really good for Impunity that their Crystal Mage is far ahead, and Truffy's has only got has actually got Tension Boat and Soul Blade, and he's working towards Shiv, weirdly enough, to try and counter the Crawl, but he hasn't got any defense. This CP is just going to shred through him very, very quickly if he doesn't build up at least tier one shield, because you kind of need that against an Idris. And Bluxy's quite by a scout trap. There's going to be a little bit of poke by Vainglory8. That is a horrible goop placement. Bluxy using the Nedban's Rush at the exact wrong time for Vainglory8. But the tier 1 turret taken by Trophies so easily, and of course he's Glaive with enough. He hasn't got a block, so if the Force to Core did come through from Court d'Ivoire, he would be in trouble, but he has an afterburn. So that was well played by NUBELAE. A little bit of a bait and switch, and they get the tier 1 turret, so the gold just barely in their favour. Once again, it's just dead even.
It is dead even, and I must say in that team fight alone, very good play coming out from Trophies, opting to not join his team in that team fight and just push on with this turret. And I must say, and this game is rather stagnant, so they are definitely vying for the late game, and it's just down to who has got a better late game. But the amount of damage coming out from the Chakram is just not as terrifying as opposed to when you have a CP Idris and you just push your advantage in that early game. However, maybe Impunity will be looking for a team fight.
Yeah, definitely. They're all three in lane. Idris with the double Chakram, putting so much work onto that turret. 385 with each hit, and so if NUBELAE don't engage, that turret is going so quickly. 343 now on the turret with a few broken mid-stacks falling, and yeah, easily tier 1 turret because NUBELAE didn't want to fight, and now they're in a bad position. I think Sergeant should have gone in with the gauntlet a lot earlier, because you cannot just let someone siege your turret down. You should try and fight them, especially when they're not ahead in gold and you can afford to fight. I think it would have been a really smart decision to just go in whenever they try to push the next wave. Just try and fight. Court d'Ivoire hasn't used the Force to Cord yet in this game, but he's working towards Echo. But Crucible is on Sergeant, so it will most likely be blocked. No, it will not. He misses the Crucible, and he's not even going to use it. He's going to wait till now. But Scarf is already dead. What are you doing? Traffic's going to go very low, and now Sergeant most likely going to fall under Crystal Sentry. That is a disaster for NUBELAE. Impunity get the lead.
That was, and I guess, you know, Quarter War on this Finn, I think he plays it very well, to be honest. He holds on to that force accord to running and fleeing enemies rather than just using it as a form of engage. And honestly, we saw right there, it's that, you know, the entirety of Impunity really does not want to just dive in and be caught out of position, because that is what the Glaive will excel at in the end, yeah? So Glaive comes in, afterburn you away into his team of 3, and that is basically diving.
Get the lead.
Yeah.
There you are back. You're disconnected from.
Oh, sorry. So basically, Glaive really want to go in and punch you out. So with that in mind, Impunity really do not want to just dive onto your team and fight. Instead, they want to engage and hold on to that force accord just for fleeing enemies or fleeing praise, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. That is the different ways you can play. You can use your force. You either save it for when they're trying to run away, or you save it when it's available. And saving it for when they were trying to run away seemed to work. Sergeant wasn't really focusing. He was walking towards the lane, probably looking somewhere else on the map. And so now NUBELAE need to try and win the next team fight. They lost such a big gold. They lost so much gold because of that team fight. They went down about 4k after being dead even because of the tier 2 turret being gone and the gold mine. Now Echo's being picked up by Court d'Ivoire. We expect that to be on the Force to Cord, because if Vainglory8 gets pulled in, then he's probably going to die very quickly. Same with Trophies actually. Trophies going completely glass cannon, going 4 damage items and no defense, which is very different on the Glaive. You normally see Glaive go 2, maybe 3 damage items, but get yourself an Atlas, get yourself an Aegis, just tank up. What do you think about this build from Trophies?
Well, a mage Glaive. I mean, I've seen Glaives that play like this before. They just want to rush the damage item, and at the last item that will keep them safe, they will just rely on the Slumbering Husk. But honestly, looking over at the side of Impunity, they definitely have got, you know, better item building decision. All in all, as a team, you see DevTube that Aegis going for that 4th damage item, whereas you see Blue City already having that Atlas, that Aegis as well. And of course, not really caring much about the amount of defense he has, but how much sustain in terms of how long he can stay in team fight. And that really just explains as to why he opted for the spell sword rather than a tension bow and the poison shift.
Sajin is out of position a little bit, Finn, using the Echo. Force Core was actually missed. There was no block used, and that is another Force Core missed the block by Sajin. Gauntlet comes down, stunning up Fluxty, but Angry is so low on the back line, he does not quite put, but Trophies will, and so will Angry with the From Hell's Heart fade away for the ace, and Impunity once again are going to take another turret, and possibly even a second. They're not going to try and win, are they, Luxury? They're only 15 minutes into the game.
Well, I mean, they have got the damage to win, and they had the amount of tank required if they ran out of minions, and there you have it. The second game will go over to Impunity.
They're onto the Vayne, they're trying it. Fluxty's going to be able to get this, and that is game, as you said, to Impunity. Break that one down, Luxury. What happened to NUBELAE?
Well, honestly, NUBELAE just allowed Impunity just farm up way too much, and with the amount of damage that Trophies really is building, he could have just easily